regardless of which side their country army was fighting on. The Museum of Central Pomerania is studying a unique process, the almost complete population change that took place in the city of Slupsk and the Pomeranian region as a result of the post-1945 redrawing of state borders. Poland's borders today are the consequence of decisions taken during the Yalta and Potsdam conferences, but what's often referred to as the Big Three. In other words, the Soviet Union, the United States, and the United Kingdom. Thanks to those decisions, the territories Stalin received included Poland's eastern borders, which had been occupied by the Red Army in 1939. This meant that the Poles living in those lands either had to leave them or relinquish their nationality. Some of them were exiled to Siberia or Kazakhstan. There, in inhuman condition, they waited for years upon years until the authorities of the USSR decided to allow them to return to Poland. The Big Three decided that in exchange for the lost lands in the east, Poland would receive the large swath of the Pomeranian region that had been liberated, so to say, by the Red Army in 1945. That, in turn, meant that the Germans living there had to leave.
Tam były walki, bo u nas tutaj nie było żadnej, przecież nie było żadnej bitwy. Slupsk był pusty, żołnierze już parę dni przedtem opuścili przecież Slupsk, koszary, lotnisko przecież widzieliśmy, było puste wszystko już na Gdańsk ruszyli, na Gdańsk, a zanim jeszcze wyjeżdżali, to jeszcze musieli te dwa mosty, wysadzili w powietrze przecież ten jeden most i drugi most puścili w powietrze. Na lotnisku też taki duży blok był, też wsadzili pewnie z dokumentami, czy nie mam pojęcia, który też został wypuszczony w powietrze. Bo tak tu żadne naloty nie było. Nic nie było słychać kompletnie. Ruscy weszli bez niczego, ale długo dzieci musieli się uczyć, jak tutaj walczyli o ten Slupsk, ile tu żołnierzy zginęło. Nie wiem skąd oni to wysłali z palca. Przecież my widzieliśmy dokładnie, że Slupsk był wolny, nikogo, żadnego żołnierza, żadnej obstawy, nic nie było ani tu, ani na Lichowie. Także tak dzieci się musieli uczyć i te ulice zaczęły nazywać się tam po tych ruskich generałów, czy jak.
So the post-war story of Pomerania and Slupsk began as the sum of thousands of personal dramas on every side. After years of atrocities of war, the three nations, Germans, Poles and the Soviet soldiers, who would be stationed in Poland for many more years, most often failed to find common ground. As we talked to the first people to take up residence in Slupsk, we heard so many tragic stories. Stories of starvation and suicide in Kazakhstan, stories of carnage and butchery in Volhynia, of journeys to Poland that took weeks, cooped up in cattle wagons all the while, of gang of looters of various nationalities, and how only living in larger groups offered any protection from them, of the rape of Polish and German women by Red Army soldiers, of human remains lying amidst rubble. All those stories will always be with us now. We look at our city from the viewpoint of those tales. There are also stories of homes lost or left forever. Also, other settlers came to Slupsk. There were people from central Poland, including Warsaw, which had been razed to the ground by the Nazi army. There were people returning from concentration camps and forced laborers who'd been transported deep into Germany during the war, and others as well. And in addition, an ethnic Slavic group, the Kashubins. remained in waiting. We also managed to talk to some German women who decided to stay in Slupsk and enter into family life there with Polish men. The stories of their families' origins are just as moving and show us how little the individual counts for in the face of acts of war, and what terrifying outcomes the decision of the great and the good of this world bring down on others, even women and children. Yet those young German women found their feet in the transformed reality and learned to live in a Polish place. The post-war Polish residents of Slupsk are an extraordinarily diverse group. There are people of different origins, with different experiences of the war. They have different accents and different educational backgrounds. There are people who manage to salvage part of their belongings and others who arrived here with nothing more than a basket holding a change of clothes. What did they bring with them to Slupsk? Indispensable items, personal mementos, documents and photos. But they also brought customs, regional dishes, traditional songs and regional costumes. All of those elements melted as a result of the marriages that followed, creating a colorful conglomeration unique not only to Poland, but also to Europe. What struck us most about the interviews we collected, though, was the fact that the settlers almost always talked about hope. The horrifying war was over, and now they were finding a new home and a new job. Together, they were organizing a place for everyone to live. There was work to be done, learning to be done, fun to be had, and dancing. Because that's what real life's like, the life that wars had snatched away from them. It was tough, and it was wretched, but as one of the women from the first generation to be born in Slupsk after the war says, both my mother and my father had this way of approaching the world. We can't change the whole of reality, but we can change a little bit of it. In which case, let's change this bit. Nowadays, when I'm telling children the story of the region, I always ask them, where are you from? Where's your family from? Most of them say, from Slupsk. On the one hand, it's a very positive thing that all those people who came to Slupsk, hurt and wearied by the war, succeed in creating their own spot on this earth for themselves and their children. On the other hand, though, we are trying to keep the memory alive of those who lived there for centuries and those who arrived there after 1945. We are also trying to show the children just how important it is to know about your own family history and how much it tells us about ourselves. When we began working on Identity Online, I think all of us thought it was going to be a project about history. And then, just over a year ago, in the 21st century, our neighbors were confronted with the horrors of war. The Ukrainians and the Poles are two nations connected by a history that hasn't always been easy. How excellent it is that we've succeeded in uniting despite the problems of the past. So we have the hope, the bold and ambitious hope, that Identity on the Line will help various countries and their leaders to understand just how dramatically their ambition and decisions affect ordinary people who are exactly the same as we are, neither better nor worse, regardless of which part of Europe, of which part of the world they come from. Thank you.